Clamping down, how courts are getting fed up with AI. That is our topic for today. Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact-dependent. Hey everyone, welcome back to LMI Podcast, where we talk about the law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. I'm back with Dannielle Simms of SimmsLawGroup.com. She's here, returned back to talk legal topics. So how are you doing, Dannielle? It's been a while.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good to see you. And so I'll showcase your website, of course, just to remind people of who you are, but you're not a stranger because you have been here quite a bit over the number of last couple of years. And so you are a family attorney, you do estate planning, CPS litigation, and people can check you out on SimmsLawGroup.com and learn more about you. Based in Houston, Texas attorney. And so just welcome back. Every time I bring somebody into the office, it's always a little more special than the typical, video conversations. So tell us, what have you been up to?
I'm still practicing family law, of course, in Houston, Harris County, mainly dealing with a lot of not only just family law litigation, but also CPS litigation, finding that is coming up and becoming an issue a lot more nowadays. And in addition to that, kind of going with our topic, dealing with a lot of cases where I'm having to deal with folks that are representing themselves,
Yep.
which kind of goes with our topic today. And, it's funny, as you mentioned, having someone in the office versus having someone virtually, it's very different. It goes with this topic because those things are very different, which kind of ties in entirely with our AI discussion today.
Exactly. So the AI discussion basically involves this trend we've been seeing. A lot of courts all over the country are in the US are starting to crack down a little bit on filings that they're seeing come in from lawyers and people who don't have legal representation or pro se's. And so there's articles written about this. It's all over the news. Some lawyer gets sanctioned or some judge takes off a lawyer's head. However, a lot of times judges want to direct some of that attention toward people who don't have attorneys, because just like lawyers, non-attorneys who represent themselves are also filing things that are produced with generative AI. They use ChatGPT to fill in forms, to create fake cases, to draft pleadings for them, believing that the work that the AI produces is accurate, it's good, it's legal, it's lawful.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes these folks file them. They file them with the courts, and people are starting to take notice. Have you been seeing this trend amongst pro se's calling your office?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just the filings that I'm seeing. It is the generating emails to me when we're communicating that are clearly AI. Guys, we can tell, and I'm not a pro at this, but we can tell, and by we, I mean people, right? Can tell when you're talking to us using AI versus talking to us using your own voice. There's a mass distinction between the two, but it's not just limited to filings and emailing. Sometimes, you're going to court and you're having to have a trial. I had a trial not that long ago where it was very clear that the pro se party was using AI. And the big problem was he could get through the key words, but then when it came to applying the facts to the law, or at least understanding what portion of the law he was talking about as it related to what he was trying to do, it made the trial go longer. It made a trial that was unnecessary. I ended up winning the trial. And then this is not a plug on stellar lawyering or anything like that. It is literally what he was doing with his facts. He found some law, but then he didn't go back and look at the nuances of what he was talking about. So it got to a point where he was quoting statutes that either existed but weren't applicable, existed, but then he forgot that there were certain facts that I knew that he had done that didn't make sense, or he was saying statutes that were not, that didn't exist at all.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of one of those things where when you're quoting statute 6969 and that doesn't apply to the 153 setting that we're having, and you don't know that because what you have looked up online makes you think that you know that, that's an issue. The other thing is, you'll have people who are like, how do I say child support just because it's such a sexy subject all the time,
Yeah.
but how does child support work in Texas? They, they'll look that up and then they will tell me how it works in Texas, and then I have to go, yes, that may be a blanket statement, but then we have to look at the actual facts and how they apply.
Gotcha. So you've had real life experience with this in the actual courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like you, I've gotten pro ses call me and they represent themselves in court. They'll file things that AI gave them and it's not very good. They
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes. Then they come to you as an attorney and you have to try to help clean it up. And so I think that's one of the first big takeaways from us. It's just a life tip. If you mess something up and you need a lawyer to clean it up, we'll do it. However, it would probably be a lot easier if the lawyer was on the case from the very, very beginning.
Well, let me stop you there.
Go
When
ahead.
you say we'll clean it up, we can't always, guys.
That's
So
true.
that's why you have to, listen, in this country, you have a right to represent yourself. I would say that there's an adage that says the person who represents themselves is a fool.
Yeah.
There's a reason that that's said. It's not just related to AI. It's literally, I keep saying the word literally, guys. I apologize. But it is the ability to take yourself out of a situation and look at facts neutrally. And you can't do that all the time when you are the person that's in it, right? But a lot of it is, you go in and you have AI'd yourself into certain portions of litigation. Then you go to a lawyer and you go, here's my file, fix it. Sometimes we can't do that, guys. And so having legal guidance from the beginning is generally where I like to start people off.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I had to look this word up recently in the dictionary. It's the word sycophant, right? Sycophant, a person who acts towards someone of importance in order to gain advantage. We have a slang for it. It's called butt kissing, where you want to tell someone what they want to hear to make them happy in
Mhm.
order to get an advantage. And so this is a trend that we're starting to notice with AI LLMs like ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it is. When you ask AI something, it, even if it's wrong, will want to give it to you. And so a lot of times this becomes a you know really, really bad prophecy of where you let the AI take you where you didn't want to go,
Mhm.
because it ends up just, hey, that's a great question, John. John, thanks for asking it. Here's da 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 da, and all that da 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 is wrong. But the AI wants to give you something. It rarely tells you, you know what? I don't know.
Right.
Or you know what? Maybe you should get a lawyer for that.
Right.
And so that's the danger people are finding themselves in, where AI wants to please you. And so it naturally gives you stuff that may not be wrong because it's trying so hard, especially if you give it a prompt that's pretty bad and you only limit it to a certain number of facts. It's trying its best, but unfortunately, it's not going to come out very well in your favor.
Well, it's kind of like the lady on TikTok that was in love with her
Uh,
TikTok therapist or
yeah.
whatever it was. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen, and some of the judges, especially in Texas, are starting to notice this. Up in Denton County, Texas, if you go to the Family District Court's website right now and you scroll down, you'll see an alert from this month that they just published called Standing Order Regarding Use of Artificial Intelligence. And here it is. In this standing order, the court on October 20th, all the family court judges signed off on this. The court has publicly, for the first time, announced that everyone, listen, this is a warning. If you are going to file something in our courts and you use AI to generate it, then you need to make sure you do two things. Number one, confirm this via a certification form that all language quotes, sources, citations, arguments, and legal analysis created or contributed to by generative AI were, before you submit it, verified as accurate through traditional non-AI legal sources by a human being. And understand this, the attorney or pro se litigant submitting such information understands and acknowledges that they are and will be held responsible and potentially sanctioned for their own, their staff's, or their co counsel's failure to comply with this order. That is a crackdown if I've ever seen one. What are your thoughts initially when you read this standing order from Denton County Family Courts?
I mean, I think it's a pretty basic thing that makes sense. Think about it. When you're in school and we're doing just basic research, this is pre-AI, right? This is just going to school, learning how to research things. When we were in school, you couldn't just go online and pull any kind of article and try to turn it in as your own. It's plagiarism. That's essentially what it is. The problem with AI, though, is that you are getting sources that you don't know are accurate. So if you're going to use the AI, which is kind of why you should just skip and go to a lawyer, you use AI, and then they're going to expect you to do legal research to make sure that cases that you have cited are accurate, statutes that you have cited are accurate, and you're doing all of this work that could have been done just through an attorney. And I'm not shocked that we're seeing orders like this because, you're standing in court and somebody's quoting Scooby-Doo v. Shaggy. And I'm sitting there going, I've never heard of that. And I went to law school. Doesn't mean that I know every single thing in the book. So now I've got to go back and find out, is Scooby-Doo and Shaggy correct? I go back to my office. Scooby-Doo and Shaggy have never been in litigation with each other. And I'm sitting here going, why did I go to court? Why did you just send me back to go do hours of legal research for my client only to find out what you said was not real?
Exactly. It puts a lot of time and burden because the problem that's being created is it creates this undoing, unlearning, and you have to question then everything that's put in front of you. You have no idea. The court especially doesn't have any idea whether or not a case that you're citing that you argue is a fact is in fact a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have accuracy in the law, we're going to have a lot of problems, right?
Yeah, we'll have mayhem. We'll
Yeah.
have mayhem.
Yeah, that's like we call judges fact finders for a reason.
Yeah.
Is to get to the facts, the truth about what actually happened and what arguments support what facts and vice versa.
Right. Well, and think about it from this perspective. We put people under oath for a reason,
Yep.
right? The whole idea is don't lie to the court. When you are trying to figure out, and I'll use something as small as a traffic ticket. Did I speed or did I not speed? If I came in and I said I was never driving that car and I was caught on camera driving the car at the exact same time I was pulled over. But if a judge looked at me and went, oh, well, she said she wasn't driving the car, that's it. The whole basis of evidence is for that prosecutor or that city attorney, whomever, to be able to say, here's the tape of her on camera driving that car at that date and time and XYZ. If I'm walking in there and lying, it says a lot, right? Or if I'm coming in there and making a misrepresentation, it says a lot. That is why we put people under oath. Fast forward, that's also why when we file pleadings, we have to sign them with our signature block, because what we're doing in there is, while we as lawyers are not saying that the facts are necessarily true, we are saying that we've done our due diligence and that we believe that what we are filing is not frivolous. We end up in a situation where folks are just allowed to do and say anything in court. You run into mayhem. I mean, that just is what it is, because fact finders are fact finders for a reason, and we have rules to make sure that we're not just making things up in order for the judge to make the best decision possible. I'll relate it particularly to family law. You don't ever want to be in a situation where we go into family law, which is such a soft science already, and can be, I call it the soft science of law, because there's so many nuances, especially when you're dealing with the best interest of a child, that each child is different. You don't want anybody to be able to walk in and tell a lie and then turn around and go, oh, not only am I lying, but I Scooby-Doo v. Shaggy said that this is accurate, when it turns out that A, the facts are not true, or B, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy never said that, or Scooby-Doo and Shaggy never got into litigation, so there is no case law out there. We don't want that. Now, on that same note, what you never want to do is have somebody who's in a position of authority tell you, well, Scooby-Doo versus Shaggy said XYZ. And then when you go back and do that research, because you relied on what that expert said, or you relied on what that fact finder said, well, Scooby-Doo v. Shaggy, and you go back and you look, and none of that is true, you as the litigant don't want to end up with a ruling that is just inaccurate and based on not I would say bad law, but law that doesn't exist or law that no longer exists. It's very the use of AI is very convenient, but the not following up and making sure that what you are presenting is very dangerous. Frankly, it is. It's just dangerous to me.
Yeah, and it's kind of shocking how, I mean, forget non-lawyers. There are actual lawyers who use the hallucinations, let them take them for a ride, and then they're shocked that the court is then taking their heads off or sanctioning them, which leads us to the S word, sanctions, because this Denton County standing order specifically threatens sanctions as a punishment. So let's talk a little bit about what sanctions are, because it's not something you should take lightly, especially because if you're pro se and the court's warning you, look, you take your life in your hands when you come to the court and you plead stuff that's just made up from AI. What kind of consequences are we talking about that somebody might suffer if the court does in fact sanction them?
So sanctions, like you said, are a punishment, right? Sanctions can include anything from your case being thrown out. It can include you having to pay attorney's fees. It can include a myriad of punishments that are available depending on the type of litigation you're in. I mean, I would liken the word jail time as a form of a sanction. I don't necessarily know that you'd reach that depending on how severe it is, but that also is a sanction. And you don't want to be in a situation where you're being sanctioned for something that you didn't know. You know, again, AI is getting better. It's good, but it doesn't change the fact that you need to do the follow up. It's truly like when you Google something, that is just the tip of the iceberg in research. At least it is for me. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Just the beginning, right?
mhm.
And anything that you do with AI, you should check it. And that's always what's shocking to me, where some of these lawyers who are getting sanctioned, um, the checking could have been done so easily, in my opinion. And I don't understand how anybody can just submit something to the court and don't double check, triple check, have somebody else check it just to make sure. It saves you time, super convenient, but the downsides are terrifying if a court gets wind that you were just submitting something to them that wasn't actually verified, by a human. So, what are any other thoughts that you have on this topic? um i think I think personally it's awesome to use AI. It saves me so much time. I know we disagree on this,
Mhm.
but it's going to come to the point where eventually most of us aren't going to have much of a choice because it's being baked into everything that
I
we
don't
do.
know that I agree with Mac on this, and obviously y'all are watching me in real time disagree with
Yes,
Mac.
which
I
is
just in case
great.
y'all don't know, Mac is a big tech guy, and I recognize tech. I understand tech. I mean, I am of the T9 generation with texting, so I get it. But I am like an immovable force when it comes down to my feelings on AI. Now, with that being said, it is something that's going to be a part of our lives. It's definitely something that's been a part of our lives. This is not new. I mean, we are saying AI. It's just more advanced now. I
Correct.
mean, we've had AI since what? Was T9 able to predict what words you were going to say?
Wow, super, those calculators from high school.
No,
Oh, you're
you
talking
don't
about
remember T9 texting? That's what it was called. But also but the calculators from high school, all of that stuff. Yes, I think that AI has always been around. It's
of
just
course.
getting better. We've all seen iRobot. Uh, but I do think that it's just very, very important to make sure that you are actually verifying what you're doing.
That's it.
It
Verification.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's very much like, think about it, when you guys are looking at your kids now and you've got the iPad kids and it's like, hey, you need to go outside and touch grass. I would liken the same thing. If you are going to utilize AI as a tool to do stuff, it needs to be a tool to aid you and not replace you. Like we're about to be replaced by all robots. I'm joking, not really. But It needs to be an aid. It is not just foolproof. It just isn't. And it's not different from when we were asking Jeeves. Jeeves didn't know everything. It's not different from when you ask Google and Google gives you information, but you have to go make sure. It's not different from when you ask Alexa and Alexa malfunctions and tells you it's 78 degrees outside. So you go out in your short shorts and it's freezing. You know, everybody just need to make sure that you are recognizing that Chat GPT is smart. AI is smart, but it's only limited to the information that it has and is provided.
Yes, yes. So we could talk about this forever. Our 20 minutes is up, but this conversation is going to keep evolving, it's going to keep on going. And I just don't see it going anywhere because every single month, the computing power of these LLMs grows exponentially further. And I think we'll keep having to revisit the ethics of it all. And, one day we're not going to ever want to have non-human judges. We're not going to ever want to do that. I don't believe. But we're also going to have these machines that can do computations and produce documentation in volumes so much more than a human being can ever process. And so we have to then strike a balance, between that. And I think that would be my last tip, which is just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because you can knock out a 5,000 word brief using ChatGPT doesn't mean you should just put it through the machine, pump it out, and file it. It could actually do more harm than good. So I think that's one of the things we need to make sure people are careful about.
It's kind of like a Google lawyer. When you have clients that come in and say, well, I Googled this, and I
Yes.
have to say, oh, yes, that's a thing that happened, but your facts don't lead to that. Because
Yes.
remember that time when you did XYZ?
Yep.
Doesn't lead to that.
Yep.
Or it's kind of like, and in my office, my dad does some criminal law. It's kind of like when he has clients that come in and go, well, I heard when they were incarcerated that this is what's supposed to happen. This is what you're supposed to file. And I'm like, yeah, you heard that from somebody who's also incarcerated with you, who is not free. And at the end of the day, though, what you heard from that person doesn't apply to what you did, right?
Correct. Factual.
Or did not do, or alleged to have done.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
So
Back in law school, it was the word Google lawyer. I remember that a lot. Now it's AI. So, all right, guys. Until next time, check out Miss Dannielle Simms, attorney and litigator, and also mediator. Can't forget that. And check her out, simslawgroup.com. Okay.
glad to be back, and thank you guys. Happy Halloween.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye bye.